Thanks so much. I'm joined on the phone right now with Pete Bevacqua, a 1993 Notre Dame Arts and Letters graduate who now serves as the CEO of the PGA of America. Pete started off working at a New York City law firm, then applied for a job with the USGA on a whim. A few months later, he got a call back, and the rest is history. Pete, always good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Peter. It's great to be on.
Now, we're going to talk a whole lot about golf, but first we got to get your take on your time here at Notre Dame. I know you majored in English when you were an undergrad. What did you originally envision doing after you graduated?
Yeah, I think the accurate answer is I really had no idea. I was an English major, and I absolutely loved it. I loved being in the College of Arts and Letters, kind of split my time between English classes and a lot of classes in the film department. And when I graduated, really didn't know. I considered film school. I had law school in the back of my mind. So what I decided to do was to go teach for a year back where I went to school, and that gave me time to finally decide that law school was probably the right choice for me. So English, being an English major, really one of the things I loved about it is it kept those options open, and a certain amount of flexibility came with the major.
So from teaching then back to law school and to work in the law field for a while, but tell me about how you eventually ended up getting into the golf industry.
Well, golf had always and has always been a huge part of my life. When I was 10 years old, I mentioned to my father that I wanted to start to play, and next thing I knew, I was caddying at the local golf course where we grew up in Bedford, New York, and really caddied and worked at that club as a caddy master, then eventually running the golf shop through grammar school, high school, through my 4 years in Notre Dame in the summers, and even through my first year of law school. So it was always a huge part of my life, and I was at a law firm in New York, Davis, Polk, and Wardwell, and, enjoying it, but it's certainly a grind as a young associate at a law firm, and really on a whim wrote a letter quite literally in the middle of the night to the USGA, basically saying, hey, if you're ever looking to hire a full-time attorney, I think I'm your guy. And as you said in the intro, heard back several months later, and next thing I knew, I was renting a car and driving from New York City to Far Hills, New Jersey, and interviewing for that job, and started with the USGA in September of 2000 and have been involved in golf ever since.
You were able to parlay that into your current role, which is as the CEO of the PGA of America. Tell us about what that job entails, if you would.
So the PGA of America, we really have a two-part mission. We're here to serve our membership. We have roughly 28,000 members across the country, PGA professionals at private, public, resort facilities, everyone from a young man or woman coming into the game as a professional to the professionals that most people watch on TV just about each weekend. And we're really about serving that membership and growing the game. We do a lot of things behind growing the game, trying to bring more children into the game, more women, more diversity into the game, because golf certainly needs that. We're also looking to help our professionals with employment opportunities and education. And then really, Pete, what most of the world knows us for is we run golf events. The biggest of which are the PGA Championship, which is one of golf's four majors, and the Ryder Cup, which is Team USA versus Team Europe, which is probably maybe the biggest event in golf, certainly one of the most exciting. And then we run our Women's PGA Championship that's sponsored by KPMG and a fellow Notre Dame alum, John Viemeyer, who's their global CEO, and then a series of other events. So we kind of work both sides of it, certainly the spectator side with the PGA Championship and the Ryder Cup, and then obviously with our professionals and really trying to grow this great game of golf around the country and, quite frankly, around the world.
Pete, you took me right into my next avenue, which is the Ryder Cup. I've covered all sorts of sporting events, Super Bowls included. Never had as much fun as I've had covering Ryder Cups, though. You guys have obviously taken on a very big initiative recently in terms of overhauling the system for the United States team. How do you envision that working in 2016 in Hazeltine, and do you think that might be the ticket to the Americans bringing home the Ryder Cup this time?
Well, we hope it's part of it, and it's funny because we took a step back and said, okay, now the Ryder Cup happens every 2 years in the U.S., 2 years later in Europe, and then keeps switching back and forth. But we took a step back and said over the course of the last 20 years, Team USA has gone 2-8. And quite frankly, that isn't good enough. So I talked a lot about Notre Dame football and the Notre Dame football program, and just that that concept of building a program and how you build off of your own history and your own tradition. And much like how Coach Kelly will invite players back from the past and great coaches from the past, I know he has such a wonderful relationship with Lou Holtz and Ara Parseghian and others. We needed to do the same thing. We needed to build a Ryder Cup family. We couldn't reinvent the wheel every 2 years, and we had to learn lessons from past captains and past players. So we reached out to some of the great captains from the past, people like Davis Love and Tom Lehman and others, and Ray Floyd, and then some of the great players of Ryder Cup, recent Ryder Cups like Tiger and Phil Mickelson and Jim Furyk and Ricky Fowler and Steve Stricker, and really locked ourselves in a room and said, okay, what can we do better? What can we do differently to build this program and ultimately to increase our chances of success? Now, if we win in 2016, that would be great. Team Europe is very good, but it's more about creating consistency and building off a process that if we look back 20 years from now, hopefully we'll reverse that trend and not have gone 2-8, but hopefully have gone 7-3, 8-2, or better. That's the ultimate goal.
It certainly will be fun watching to see if that strategy pays off. Pete, I know you're a busy guy. I want to thank you for joining us here today on Notre Dame Day.
No, I really appreciate it, Pete, and I'll talk to you soon.